Welcome back to our third and final part of our interview with Cindy Liu. Today she will be talking about actionable items and the ways classical music needs to change.
Kind of standardizing what is considered out there and avant-garde is really the first step. And that, of course, that's like a risk. That takes bravery and it takes imagination because there really is no precedent for it thanks to the pipeline. So I think just really starting there, and it's not going to happen, in a couple of years. I think it's this very dramatic cultural shift that needs to happen. I think firstly it goes back to this idea of shifting your mindset. Shifting, because listening is subjective, we all know that. So that means that it's possible to actively change what you believe to be sounding good, quote unquote. Like, I think it's very telling that, when Dvorak came to America and I want to say like end of the 19th century, and he heard African American spirituals and he heard minstrelsy. It was like this transformative experience for him. And he literally, I'm going to quote this thing that he said. He said, "The future of this country must be founded upon what are called the Negro melodies. This must be the real foundation of any serious and original school composition to be developed in the US." So it's like the fact that he was able to recognize that, and we are, in my opinion, still far away from fulfilling what he said. That speaks to me to the mindset, because it's not that there aren't excellent Black artists out there, like they're everywhere. I think it's very telling that there's this incredible pool of talent to draw from, and then we see like less than 2% of musicians in orchestras are African American, or like, like a abysmal number percent of conductors identify as Black, for example. Like, I think it's firstly a shift in mindset, and then secondly being very aware of when performativity is happening and like when artificial quotas, quote unquote, are being set.
Let's pause and define performativity for a second. In this case, Cindy is referencing performative allyship. Performative allyship is when someone from a non-marginalized group professes support and solidarity with a marginalized group in a way that either isn't helpful or actively harms that group. Performative allyship usually involves the ally receiving some kind of reward. On social media, it's that virtual pat on the back for being a good person or on the right side. Performative allyship is damaging because it excuses. It excuses privileged people from making the personal sacrifices necessary to touch the depth of the systemic issues it claims to address.
In terms of where to start, start from the top, because this is a hierarchical industry. So you think about, who are your board members, who are your trustees, what are they donating towards, what are they insisting needs to happen every season. Therefore, how does that influence their programming and their hiring choices, both within musicians, artists, and also within their staff and the administration at the organization. And I think this is also something I've been seeing a lot on social media, is like, pay attention to kind of minor interactions like meetings, emails, what faces are present, which are absent. Is there language being used that tokenizes and otherizes? And I think also like not being afraid to call this out, which is within the framework of the classical industry, very difficult, because it's this kind of very legitimate fear that there are only so few ways to gain traction in one's career. And if that's curtailed because I spoke up, that's enough to keep people silenced and in fear of doing that when there's so many barriers to entry. But like we were saying before, like, I believe the stakes have never been higher. Like, this is not the time to kind of let that fear hold people back. We should, really tap into this moment that we've gone from, learning about the inevitability of global pandemics to how to make banana bread to recessions, and now how to defund the police. Like, this is not something that should be discounted. And that's why I feel like this is like history is watching. Really, this is the moment where those in power should start just like reckoning with their own institutions and with themselves, really.
We'd like to thank Cindy for meeting with us and look forward to our conversations in the future. Thanks for listening.